What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV. I am out for my daily walk in the countryside, and in this video we're going to be comparing the camera SuperSaf style of the iPhone SE 2020 to the iPhone 11. This will help us see what the differences are, all of the key differences, and we're going to be looking at the front facing cameras, the rear facing cameras, images, video, low light, all of it. Do look out for the audio icon in the corner of the screen, and that will indicate to you which device the audio is coming from. So front facing cameras right now, one thing to know is that the iPhone SE only has 1080p from the front facing camera, whereas the iPhone 11 does have up to 4K. So you might notice a bit of a difference here in terms of detail and sharpness. Let's just quickly test out the stabilization from the front facing cameras. All right, so we're just walking. Now let's go ahead and run. Now we've switched to the rear facing cameras. We're filming at 4K, 30 frames a second on both of the devices. One big advantage that you have on the iPhone 11 is that ultra wide camera. Look how much more you can get into your shot. That is so cool. Something that you don't have on the iPhone SE. Now let's test out the stabilization at 4K, 30 frames a second. Walking. Let's go ahead and run. Both devices can also film at up to 4K 60 frames a second, but we don't have extended dynamic range at 4K 60 on the iPhone SE. So let me know what the dynamic range is like. Autofocus tests on the iPhone 11, very fast. Same autofocus tests on the iPhone SE, and just as fast. So that was the video. Now before we move on to images, having a quick look at what we're working with here. For the front facing cameras, the iPhone 11 does have a higher resolution, and for the rear facing cameras, the iPhone 11 has an additional ultra wide camera which allows you to capture a much wider field of view around 120 degrees. Now, if you do want to protect your iPhones, then I definitely recommend picking up a grip case from our channel sponsor dbrand. A dbrand grip case is not only going to give you great durability and protection, but it's also going to allow you to customize the back of the case using one of many dbrand skins. I'll leave a link to dbrand in the description below if you're interested in checking them out. Right, now having a look at the images, honestly speaking, in good light, it's very difficult to tell them apart. The iPhone SE really does hold its own. We've got great dynamic range, really good detail, and very nice colors. You can see a few examples here, and really speaking, if I didn't label them, it might have been difficult to actually tell which device which has come from. Sometimes there might be a little bit here or there when it comes to dynamic range, but generally speaking, I am very impressed with the dynamic range here on the iPhone SE. Now, one big advantage that the iPhone 11 does have is that secondary camera, and that does mean a shot like this can become a shot like this. You know, I'm a huge fan of ultra-wide cameras. I use them all the time, and it does allow you to get a lot more perspective to your shots. This is something that's not available here on the iPhone SE. Another thing that's not available on the iPhone SE, unfortunately, is a night mode. So when it does come to low light photography, hands down, the iPhone 11 does have an advantage here. I'm not sure why Apple haven't included this here. I'm not sure if it's a hardware thing because you do have the A13 Bionic. Maybe it's to have some separation between these models. But as you can see from these low light examples, the iPhone 11, there's just no question, because it does have that night mode, it's going to give you much better low light images. Now both devices do have a portrait mode, so this is where you're going to get that blurry background effect. And both do okay. I mean, they're not amazing, to be honest. I do think that the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max do a much better job, and they also have that telephoto lens which gives you more of a portrait look. But generally speaking, they both seem to do a decent job when it comes to portraits. You can see in these examples, there are a few defects, especially around my hair and sometimes around my shoulder too. But one advantage that you do have on the iPhone 11 is that the portrait mode does work with objects, animals. However, on the iPhone SE, this portrait mode is only going to work with people. So it actually looks for a person, a face, and then it applies this effect. Now, when it comes to selfies, I think once again, both do a very, very good job. Very good dynamic range, good detail as well. The iPhone 11 does have a wider angle of view, so you can have a regular selfie, but if you do tap the wide option, it's gonna allow you to get much more into your shots. So if you are taking group selfies, then the iPhone 11 is going to be much easier to use here. With the iPhone SE, if you want to take a group shot, you will probably have to use a selfie stick. And also when it comes to the portrait mode, I think both do a very similar job, a decent job in terms of the cutouts, and it does give you that blurry background effect. I was quite impressed that the iPhone SE really did hold up in this regard, but I did notice that dynamic range does suffer a little bit when you are using portrait mode from the front-facing camera on the iPhone SE. The iPhone 11 does do an overall better job, which is definitely visible here in this example. Now, I just thought I'd quickly test out some low light selfies, and here I kind of prefer the iPhone SE a little bit better, but the colors are a little bit better on the iPhone 11. I mean, this is a very low light selfie. Generally speaking, you'd be using a front-facing flash, and here you can see that both are doing a much better job. The iPhone 11 does look a tad brighter. Right, so those were the results. What are my conclusions? Well, I have to say, I am very impressed with what the iPhone SE is offering, especially at this price point. Of course, we weren't expecting it to beat the iPhone 11 in any way, but the fact that in many areas it did hold its own and went toe-to-toe with the iPhone 11, which is its bigger brother, is definitely quite impressive, especially considering how much cheaper the iPhone SE is. You also have very good video on the iPhone SE. I would say it's the best video that you're going to get on a smartphone in this price range. But the iPhone 11 is better. The video was more stable. You've got extended dynamic range up to 4K 60 frames a second. Front-facing video as well was definitely better on the iPhone 11. You've got 4K, so you've got much more detail compared to the 1080p on the iPhone SE. Dynamic range was also better, as well as stabilization. But slow motion was very comparable, as was autofocus. Both devices have very fast autofocus. Now, the iPhone 11 does get some clear advantages, of course, because of that ultra-wide camera. You are getting much more variety in your shots, something that I really do like. And this is not only on the rear-facing camera, on the front-facing camera, you can get many more people into your shots because of that wider angle of view. And of course, low light, because there is no night mode on the iPhone SE, the iPhone 11 definitely excels in comparison. And for audio, I'll let you go back and have a listen, but generally speaking, I think both had very good mics, very good stereo audio on both devices. I did find that the iPhone 11 was a little bit cleaner and had a little bit better noise cancellation. But overall, I think if you're going for the iPhone SE, you generally won't be disappointed. For this price point, you are getting some very, very good cameras. Of course, if you do value those additional features that you're getting on the iPhone 11, then it might be worth spending a little bit more. And the iPhone 11 obviously offers other features too. If you want me to do a detailed comparison between these two, in addition to the cameras, so we can look at all the different features, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you thought of this camera comparison. Were the results what you were expecting? Did you learn something new? Drop that in the comments below. If you want to see lots of images posted from lots of different devices, then be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm at SuperSaf. If you haven't already and you want to see more content like this, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV. And I'll see you next time. Damn, it's 3 AM.